Welcome, viewing several, back to my 00 gauge tiny loop. The loop that fits on my desk, that sometimes is Roco track, sometimes it's Pico track, sometimes it's Hornby track. Tonight it's Hornby track, sometimes it's Triang track. And we might have some Triang track later, because today, the purpose of this episode is Friday. So if you want to join me in a glass of crisp, refreshing beer, then please do. I'm going to show my new Class 31. It's one of the Hornby 2005 Class 1s, the 31s, in the Fragon set livery that I've just bought, used, but unopened detail pack and in great condition, good price. I am a fan of the Class 31s, and I'm going to look at this one, and to show it running, I've put my parcels van and a Mark II coach just to give it something to tow, and we'll have a look at it running, and then I think what we'll do is we'll give it a comparison to the old Triang 1962 tooling one, which is also quite a nice Class 31, but actually was brought out before tops even came in, so it was just known as the Brush Type 2, as it's yet to be classified as Class 31, and it's actually quite a nice model. But we'll have a quick look at the two side by side and see what 40 odd years of development has changed. I think there's a brand new Acura scale one, certainly very recent, which I would imagine would be the best one you can buy, but Bachmann also do one. But this is the Hornby they do a couple. They do the railroad one, which is the former Lima tooling, and they do this one, which is in this livery, it says in the guide 2006-2007. So it is DCC ready, and the plan with this one is it will get fitted with a chip and it will go on my end-to-end shelf, but I've only just got it, so what I'm going to do is just show it running around this little loop here, because it's quite nice. So we're on Gauge Master as always, so let's set her off running. Start nice and slow, as ever. It's a great runner. I'll just give it a bit more beams so that the directional lighting shows up properly. So we've got this off-centre front light, we've got the head code illumination, and we've also got tail lights, and they are directional on this model because it's a more modern one. This is an old Lima coach. I can't remember what make that parcels van is. It might be a mainline or it might be a Hornby, I can't remember, but it was one that I bought cheaply. I quite like them because they're short bogie coaches, and they're a great thing to tow round a little loop like this. And this one's really too big for this. And in fact, Hornby recommend minimum second radius for this locomotive. This is first radius, but you know, it does do it. It doesn't look super great, but because the bogies are turning, but it runs no problem. And my philosophy is, if you want to run it for fun, running it on this is better than not running it at all. So it doesn't bother me. So that's up to full tilt. I won't run it for long at that because it's this radius. And in any case, the sort of speeds I like to watch it run around are kind of that kind of speed. That's just enough voltage to give you the above the crawl, which gives you the lighting to work correctly. I'm just noticing how cheap and nasty that Lima Mark II coach looks. It's one that I bought years ago, really cheaply, and I haven't used it much, and I was always very happy with the low end models, low detail, but you know, I started to buy a few modern locos and coaches, and they're much more expensive, but they are so much better that yeah, I can see why people want the higher detail, but you know, I'm quite happy with the low detail as well. So that one is nice. I'm going to show, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show the old Triang. Right, so we're just going to give this one a run now. So this is the older 1962 tooling Triang, originally Triang model, which carried on being produced for Triang Hornby, and then I think Hornby Railways kept it going for a bit longer. So I think the box that my one came in is marked Hornby Railways, which puts it at post 1972-73-ish, but it is the same tooling as the 60s one, no difference. That might not even be the original box, very often it isn't, so I'll have to have a look underneath. Very often you'll find that they're branded differently to the box because they've got older stock or stuff, that bits that were made earlier, or somebody's just paired up a box with a loco. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's just stick that on. So I was saying earlier about the box and the loco might not necessarily match. This one is branded just Triang, so it could be one of the earlier ones. So we'll get this one running. It's a little bit noisy, partly because it's quite coarse, the wheel's quite coarse, so it really needs to run on Super 4 track, and it will hesitate over these modern points. I don't think these things run very smoothly over the Triang points either, because they have quite a large insulated frog. But you know, on a big layout with Super 4 track, these are fantastic. I do like them. We'll just go a bit faster. I think some of the hesitation on the points is just the wheels getting caught. This is finer, it's too fine a scale for the flanges. As you can see, that's pretty nice as well. I quite like that, but it's obviously, it doesn't compare to this really. But as I say, for my shed layout, I'm going to be running it on older track and DC, and for the shelf layout it's all DCC, and it's all about crawling backwards and forwards really slowly because of the limited space. So this one is going to be, so that they're going to be used in different places. Right, so on our left we've got Hornby's 2005 tooling of class 31, and on the right we've got Triang's tooling from 1962 of the Brush Type 2, or as it was often referred to in the catalogue, the A1A, A1A. Now you can see there's a few differences in terms of scale and things. I mean, this was quite a crude scale model, but it's pretty good for the time. The thing I like about this is that it actually came out not long after they were made. So these things were made between 1957 and 1962, and this came out in 1962. And these locos have been in service. There's still some in service today. In fact, I think this particular one, which at this point in time was from 20 odd years ago, in Fragrance Set livery as 31452. I think it's been renumbered and it's still in service. It was in that CD livery, the green one, for a while, and also it was paired with 41601, which has been named various things. I think Bletchley Park X, Mayor of Casterbridge, when it was in pink, and I think quite a few other names as well. So you can buy, I think it's a Barkman one of these, along with the pink one and the set of pink coaches from TMC as an exclusive, which I was very tempted by, but to be honest, I can't really afford it, because I don't really have anywhere big enough to justify having it. So that's why I bought this one second hand for about £65, I think. Can't remember how much I paid for this, £20. Now when I got this one, it was all covered in epoxy resin, non-runner, bits missing, but I got it running, and I rather like it. I've got one in TT scale as well, but I need to, I haven't had a chance to service that one. So the next time I get the TT stuff out, I'm going to give that a service. We'll get that one running. And I think I've got a Class 31 Lima in N gauge as well, which is the plain blue with the that type of yellow panel on it. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at this this model first. Just turn it around. So it's got the original type of numbering on it, British Rail logo. It's all fairly crude, so these and the roof and everything, it's all sort of a simple moulding, but for the time that was pretty good, I think. Underneath you can see it's just plastic bogey there, there's no pickup. Then on this side you've got Triang's Type 2 bogey, motor bogey, which is the sort of, it'll run on its own, so all the pickup is on here. So that's your pickup length. They can be quite noisy, but they're pretty bomb proof. This one was in a real mess, but I found some replacement parts to give it a service. I had to chip off epoxy resin with a screwdriver like a chisel, but I got it running, and that bogey's die cast. It's nice and heavy, but the weight is all on that side. So but yeah, it's I think it's a nice model for its time. So looking at the more modern version, so this tooling is more than 40 years later. So you can see straight away you've got that fan on the top. You've still got some, the detailing is still kind of moulded. You've got some nice decals. You've got the name Minotaur. I'm not sure if I can get this to stay in focus. Let's just have a look. Yeah, it's touch and go, isn't it, really? So I do need to get a better camera set up if I'm going to do this. But this channel's very formal, very relaxed. It's really just to show my friends and anyone else who's interested. I'm not interested in monetizing it or anything like that, so it's really just for just a bit of fun, isn't it? So there we go, there's the number, and you've got a few other applied decals, and underneath the main improvement of course is the chassis, and it's all-wheel pickup. Now, is it all-wheel drive? I think both bogies are driven, but I'm not sure if it's all-wheel drive. I think Hatton's reference says that it is. It's got NEM pockets you can put on. I've just put one on for now, and it's got a nice detail pack with a lot of extra bits you can glue on, like the ETH, those orange bits, and various other couplings with chains and hooks and things. So I will only ever run this on a shelf layout. So with my diesels I only ever put the coupling on one end, and then on the front end I can add whatever other detailing I want. So I'm just going to be running it back and forth on shelf. So this is clearly a much nicer model. I don't know what the RRP was at the time. I think it's probably about 150, but that was 20 years ago. But yeah, I think, as I said, I think the one to get if you really want a Class 31, the Batman one is really good, but also the Akira scale one looks fantastic and really good value. So maybe one day I'll treat myself to one of those, but for now, for me, this is more than good enough. I really like it and I'm very pleased with it, but I also really like this model, and you can pick these up very cheaply, and it wouldn't surprise me if once I get the shed layout going I get a few more of these, because they're good to have multiple ones. They're good workhorses. So there we go, that's a very, very rough comparison. Let's just see if I can find anything in the catalogues. So Triang Hornby produced this book in 1968, and it was an attempt to bring back the older Meccano Hornby book of trains that they used to issue as their catalogue, and it's quite nice. It shows everything they'd made up until that date. So some of these I've never seen. I've never seen one of those. I don't think I've seen one of those for sale. I've got quite a few of these, so if we have a flick through we should be able to find this here. So here we go, and you can see they did produce it in a blue as well. So this is this one, Brush Type 2 diesel electric. First model appeared in experimental blue BR livery in 1962. Following year, I should put my glasses on, shouldn't I really? Following in line with BR, green livery was adopted. In 1966 a different blue livery came in, and this again was superseded in 1968 with yet another blue variation. So you see these in a lot of the Freight Master sets from the 60s into the early 70s, when the high mech tended to replace them in those sets, which is obviously this one. So you've probably seen that. So in the Freight Master set, sometime in the early 70s, you got this loco instead, which is a Bobo. But yeah, so they're quite nice. Right, so this is the one I was telling you about earlier, which is the pink liveried one that they did. And actually this one here is the one I've got. This is not the Hornby one, but this is 31452 Minotaur, which is this one, but it's not this one. But these look rather nice, and I would be tempted by these, but as I say, I can't really justify it at the moment because the layouts I've got to run it on I can't justify it. But I really like that. So there you go. And I'm a big fan. Obviously the Class 31s, I got this book from Key Model World, and it's quite a good resource if you're going to if you want to add the detailing packs. You can have a look at some of these and see what they've got, and you get a lot of these bits that go on there. So yeah, so that's another good resource. So for that Hornby one I might actually do some detailing, and there is going to be some more sophisticated modelling in one of my layouts, but a lot of the time I'm just going to be running stuff like this as well, because on a bigger layout in my shed. So there we go.